Hi everyone, this is Moyna Bass Fishes. I am Jim Moyna. In this video, I'm going to recap my performance at the recent tournament on Logan Martin Lake. This would have been for a Bassmaster Open tournament in 2024. All right, so I had 5 days, 4.5 days to practice for this tournament. And well, let's just start off with I finished 142nd, I believe is what it was. 142nd out of 195 or 96, 94, 95, 96, right in there. So that's a bad tournament. That's a poor finish. My goal of qualifying for the Elite Series tournaments, the Bassmaster Elite tournaments for next year, 2025, that's an extreme jeopardy of failure now that I've put myself in I'm down the standings now in the Angler of the Year points. What they do is to qualify for 2025 Bassmaster Elite tournaments, I got to finish in the top 9 in the Angler of the Year points for these Bassmaster Opens. And I was in 18th going into Logan Martin, and I dropped all the way to 39th with this poor finish. So, can I dig out of this hole? It'll be a monumental achievement if I do. My back's against the wall, but so with that being said, just moving forward, it's just I'm still going to go out and I'm going to fish. I'm going to compete and just see what happens. We'll just see what happens. That's all I can say. Now, as far as the competition goes, I've put a lot of thought into where I went wrong with this tournament, and there's a couple things that it came down to. First of all, I got to say that for whatever reason, there's a psychological factor to bass tournament fishing, and psychologically speaking, I was not in the right frame of mind for some reason this week. I just I got after my initial long surge of being gone, I had a couple weeks back home, and then having to leave again. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay in Minnesota, but a job's a job. I had a job to do in Alabama on Logan Martin Lake, and that job was to, have a good tournament, get some more good Angler of the Year points, and win some money. So that was the job, but my heart wasn't in it. And if your heart's not in it, you don't do the things you're supposed to do. For example, this is a prime example. We had 4.5 days to practice. I guess I can unplug that fan. I had 4.5 days to practice, and before practice started, I had one thing I wanted to do. One of those days I wanted to make sure that I went all the way up to the dam, the Neely Henry Dam, which is the upstream end of Logan Martin Lake, and I wanted to fish that whole section of the water, including the tail race. And if your heart's not into it, you're more content at staying. I was staying at a place that was mid-lake. So it would have meant I would have had to drive up there with the boat and put in, or I would have had to have like a 20-minute boat ride up there. And that was just too daunting of a task for me in those 4.5 days. I know it sounds stupid. It sounds ridiculous. Maybe I'm getting old. Those things, but because your heart's not into it, it's like I was more content to fishing around where I was staying, which sometimes that worked. A lot of times that's worked for me, but in this kind of a fishery, from what I know, the history of this, I know that section of the lake can be a winning section of the lake, and it absolutely deserved a look at. And as it turns out, congratulations to Josh Butler, a seasoned veteran pro. He won the tournament fishing that part of this fishery. Now, had I gone up there and practiced, maybe, I don't know if I would have caught fish up there, maybe not. But the winning fish were up there, and I didn't even give it a go. I didn't even look at it because I was more content just fishing locally where I was. So, and that's because the psychological place I was in. And not only that, here's another thing. I haven't been exercising very good discipline on my eating habits. Coming in the last few days, coming down to Logan Martin, then traveling down to Logan Martin. I was eating, stopping at fast food places, eating junk food. And by junk food, too many chips, too many, just crap you buy off the shelf at gas stations. Eating too much of that, and I really could feel it, man. I was feeling it at 59 years of age now, which is what I'm at. Just a crappy diet like that can affect your mood. It affects your overall health. For example, I just felt more. My movement was more aches and pains in the joints. I could feel that in my movement. I was having digestive issues. I was having headaches. And that just contributes to the, it just contributes to the mindset of just not feeling good about where I'm at. Wanting to be back in Minnesota, not feeling good at where I'm at. So it's just as a result, just the whole week I just felt this negative energy of the situation I was in, and that's not good. It's just not gonna. That doesn't play in this sport. You gotta have a positive energy. You've got to have ambition. You've got to have the passion to succeed. And I think those things were lacking to some element. I put in the time. I did put in the time in practice, but it was too much robotic fishing and not enough evaluating the moment to moment situation that I was in. And I kept going back to the top three. After reading what I read on Bassmasters and what the top three, the report that they had written on Bassmaster.com, the top three finishers all were fishing deep. And that's what the fish were telling me. I could not come up with quality fish up shallow, but yet I kept pounding away on the shallow water, and I knew that it wasn't working. I did put in some time out on the main river, some deeper stuff, but not near as much time as I should have, especially after the first couple of days where, I mean, yeah, sure, you have a good bite here, you catch a 3-pounder there, but that's in 12 hours, 13 hours of practice fishing, for this tournament, what a guy needed was in 12, 13 hours, I needed like probably 7 or 8 3-pound bites. That's what I should have been generating. And the shallow water was not generating that kind of a bite. So I really got stuck and just not doing the things that needed to be done to correct the situation, to get on the right fish. Because there's lots of fish to catch up shallow. I mean, there's lots of bites. And I just kept thinking, well, it's maybe, let's just stick with this. I'm getting bit. Maybe just around the corners where I'll find an area or a cove or a section of lake where suddenly there's a greater number of quality fish. And plus I like fishing docks, so there's lots of docks out here, and I'm catching fish off docks, and I like to do that, but they were still small fish. So I just could not, I couldn't correct it. Didn't make the right corrections, even though it was obvious. It was so obvious. And some of the other guys that did poor in the tournament, I talked to a few other guys, and they were caught up in the shallow waters too. The shallow, a lot. I mean, it just wasn't happening. At least for myself and the two other guys I caught and that I talked to after the tournament. So, you know, a lot of I like to go through the rods and the baits I was using, but why? When you finish 142nd place, why bother? You know. So I'm not. I mean, most of my fish I caught shallow. I caught them on a wacky rig. Um, that's what I caught most of them on. Well, in fact, probably caught all of them. And you know what? Actually, the first day of the tournament, I actually was had everything gone perfect. I could have had a 13, 14 pound catch, which would have landed me in a decent spot. Like, I don't know where that would have put me. Like, well, it depends. If it was 13, there was a big difference between 13 pounds and 14 pounds. But the point is, I could have been in a top 30 position on day one had I had everything fell into place perfect. And I say that because I had like a 4 to 5 pounder come up out of the murk on a bait, and he nipped at it a couple times, but I never got a hook in him. Never even set the hook. I was waiting to feel weight on that fish, and never did. He just nipped it a couple times, and then he was gone, and never saw that fish again. Even though I went back to that exact little clump of weeds multiple times, he just wasn't around. Then I lost one that was like a 2.5, 3 pounder, and then I had another one where I pulled the bait away from that was like a 2.5 pounder. Those three fish, man. If I had those three fish, it would have been a 13 to 14 pound day and nice catch. But it didn't happen. So, but then day two, I never saw quality fish the second day. Never had one bite. My biggest one in my, what did I weigh? Like 7 something, 715, 713. I don't know what it was. Something like that. Under 8 pounds. I mean, I might have had one close to 2 pounds in that bag, and the rest were all smaller than that. Just wasn't around them. Didn't see them. Didn't smell them. Not happening. All right, so that is the recap, and and it's the third bad tournament in a row. I had two Toyota tournaments that were complete disasters, and now this one makes it third in a row. What is going on? I don't think I've ever had three tournaments this bad in a row, ever. I mean, I've had, a bad tournament and then maybe, some not great tournaments, but I mean, to be this awfully bad, I mean, just bad. So I'm gonna continue to think about this, and maybe a good topic for a video is, maybe I'll lay out a plan to break what's happening, to put myself back on track. And it's going to be a comprehensive plan, reevaluating all aspects of what I'm doing, who I am, and we'll take it from there. So, but sometimes there's just not a switch. It's not an easy switch. So anyhow, that's enough for this video. Thanks for watching. And and it's the only money I'll be making this week is the money generated from the viewers, you guys watching this video. So thanks for watching. Over.